Hi, the Chinese government has been very diligent and has imposed very strict measures to contain the spread of this novel coronavirus pneumonia, and just to make sure the whole country doesn't fall victim to this epidemic. Well, while we upload these measures, we also have to plan on how to help our clients check and maintain product quality. We just came out of Chinese New Year. This is always a period of higher risk, as a lot of key people don't come back. Some untrained workers are put on the lines. Maybe some of the inspectors are no longer here. Well, all of these problems, all of these risks are compounded this year by the lockdown in Hubei, by the high number of people who have not come back to the factories. So the factories are reopening slowly as I'm recording this video, February 11, and these days we are not performing any inspections. Well, what about the next few weeks? Yes, we will certainly have to provide inspection services to our clients because they cannot let very high-risk shipments go out and run the risk of finding a lot of issues when the goods hit the dock in their home country. So if we can't easily get to the factories, if the local governments request all manufacturers not to allow any visitors in, what can we do? Let's get creative. We thought about this at Sofeast, and for the next few weeks, maybe next few months, and we plan this special situation might last until April, May, maybe further. Well, what can we do? Here are 3 things that we are preparing to do and we are offering to our clients. Number 1 is look into the situation of the factory. Maybe they have a special area that is not connected to production and to the rest of their facility. Maybe it's on a different floor, maybe it's a separate building, maybe there's this area that can be cordoned off, and they can just bring the materials there. Inspectors come in, check the materials, do their reporting, go away, then the production staff can come back, pick the materials up, repack them, and so on. No contact, and we believe very little chance of infection as long as some basic precautionary measures are followed. This is not possible in all manufacturing facilities, obviously, especially not the very small ones, but it's something to be planned, to be looked into. Obviously, some of the materials, some of the products might have to be brought to their internal lab for testing, and this might not be possible. Well, there are different ways we can reduce the risk, let's say. Maybe they can make a video of the way they do it. Maybe we can also check it at the same time live on a video stream with applications like WeChat and Skype. It's getting very easy. So this is one way we can go around all these logistical problems. Number 2, the second approach would be to actually have the materials shipped out of the factory to another facility where we have access. So at Sofeast we have a 4,000 square meter facility in South China, in Dongguan. So this is relatively convenient for everything made in South China. And then we can simply unpack, getting checked either randomly, just as we usually do in product inspections, or 100%, then repacked and then shipped out. And whatever was found defective can be returned to the supplier. And we've been doing this for years, and this can probably be done pretty much the same way, except that when we return defective products to the supplier, they can just say, okay, let us send 5 people, do rework, and so on. No, it's better if it's sent back to the factory, they do whatever they need, then if needed, they send back to us. We also cooperate with factory in Shanghai where we could do that also, and we can look into renting some warehouse space to do this in some other provinces. Number 3, the third approach would be to work with your key suppliers. This would not be possible for your small suppliers or non-cooperative suppliers or very unsophisticated suppliers. However, this is workable probably for your key suppliers if they are relatively sophisticated and open to do new things. Well, what is it? In a word, self-inspection. Well, and this might be combined with some other solutions that I mentioned. And again, just to make sure there's no misunderstanding, I'm not saying that no QC inspections will happen in the next few months. I'm saying that in some cases, in some cities, some areas, it might be very hard or even impossible to do it as we usually do. So, as a complement to usual product inspections, or as a replacement if there's no other way, here's what we could do. We could train the supplier to follow a certain procedure, and this can be done through videos, e-learning and so on, and just calls and following up on what they're doing. Confirming that 1, 2, 3 or 5 of their inspectors have been trained and are capable. Equipping them of the right tools. So we work with a software solution called SyncControl. It's been developed by SyncControl Technology Limited, a sister company of Sofeast, and our quality assurance department uses it every day. We're pretty familiar with it, so we can configure it to the needs of your supplier. And depending on the situation, you as the buyer might have direct access to everything they input in there. So what can it do? Well, basically collect all of the records of their quality inspections and also at the same time guide them to do inspections the right way. It could be done during production at certain key steps in the process where they're supposed to do some testing or visual inspection. They can simply log, maybe they stop every 1 hour and they log, I found this many visual defects, this many dimensional defects, and here are some photos. And you can see in real time the graphs and the photos and everything about this. It can be maybe an inspector patrolling on the stations and using a traffic light system, green card, yellow card, red card, to qualify that some of the processes are going okay, no problem, and some of them require a lot of special monitoring. Or it could be simply very classic inspections, except that instead of us doing it, it's them doing it with the same checklist, the same approach, the same workflow, and at the end, pretty much the same report also. So a checklist, and every checkpoint has a result, yes, no, pending, and so on. It might have some comments, it can have some photos, and you can see all the defectives with the photos. Well, obviously, this is a self-declaration from the inspector, from the manufacturer, or the supplier if it's maybe a trading company. A trading company can do this very well if they have staff that can go to the factory. And then from time to time it can be cross-checked by, for example, one of our inspectors going there and doing an inspection just after them. And it can be kept as a surprise just to keep some pressure on them. It's better than nothing, and sometimes it's really effective and they can find the problems. Now, they might not declare the problems and report them, but they will put them aside, do something, send you a nice report, but they will have taken care of the problems. This is very often the way it works. And hey, if it forces them to follow a certain workflow, go through a certain checklist, it's already got a lot of value. So just to recap, we need to be creative. We can probably in the next few weeks, without any problem, do some of the inspections, but depending on some of the cities, depending on the situation, it might sometimes be very difficult or impossible. Inspection in a third-party place. We have our own facility, or it can be in another facility. Inspection in the manufacturing facility, but maybe on a different floor, a different building, somewhere where they can bring the materials, we do the inspection, and then they can come later to get the materials after we check them, just to avoid risk of contamination of them and of our staff, and to make sure that they respect the regulations from their local government. And number 3 is helping them set up a system and giving them the tools and the guidance to do self-inspections. Don't hesitate to contact us, and we will continue to give updates on our blog. Thank you.